Hello guys, welcome back to this next video in our Roblox scripting tutorial series. In today's video, we have events. Events are really important, and you're going to be using these for the rest of your Roblox scripting career, or just journey in general. So make sure to pay attention because these are pretty freaking good to know. So what is actually an event? An event is a specific signal that fires when something happens. For example, in Roblox, we have touched, player added, player removed, and a whole lot more. Now, there's so many events in Roblox Studio that I'm not going to expect you guys to know everything. However, you should be able to, after this video, when an event actually occurs, like when you look for an event, you should be able to know how to read it and understand it, and then you use it, even if you've never seen it before, and you'll see exactly what I mean once we actually finish up the video. To give a more clear visualization, I want you guys to imagine you have an LED switch, right? And you press that button to fire off an event. And when the event is fired, that trigger, then your LED lights turn on. And you have blue LEDs, red LEDs, and so forth. That is an event when you trigger the actual power button to turn them on. Another way of an event is opening the door and closing it. Or not even actually. You close the door, or you open the door to your house, and this is a birthday party, and everybody says surprise. You opening the door triggered the event for the birthday party, and that's the visualization of events in Studio, of how these works. They're really just signals. We fire the signal when something happens, and then an event is going to happen. So something will happen after we specifically say, hey, I want this to happen when this happens. I want this signal to fire when this event is triggered. Better, so forth, actually. So let's actually use a more practical, the first event is player added. Now this one is when a player is added to the game, then this will fire off. So game.players, so we're going to get the player service right here in this workspace right here. This is the player service. And every time a player is added, a new player other than me right here, this is my player, will be added into this drop box down here. And will have all their properties such as their backpack and the scripts that go inside the players. So every time a player is added into here, when a player joins the game, we can actually reference player added. And you can see all these events. Excuse me. You can see all these events. And there's quite a lot. There's a lot more than this in different in different instances. However, what is nice that Roblox does tell you what these do. Like this fires when a player enters the game. And there's literally code example and documentation. So you can always look. And here's a practical use case of player added. So let's use player added. Nice. And then to actually fire something, or to say when this fires, we use a colon. Just like a function. And then we get all these methods. We have connect, wait, once, and connect parallel. Now, generally, you're going to be using connect, which right here, connect the given function to an event and returns a connection that represents it, which just means that every time someone's added, we're going to connect some sort of function that we're going to make. And even right here, it says it takes in a function, and the function takes in a player, which is nice. And then there's wait, so every time someone joins, they wait, and once, this only runs once, and then I have literally no clue what connect parallel is this. But yeah, now we can say connect function. So we're going to connect a function, and then we're going to open and close parentheses again, because we're going to call this function when a player is added. We can move one line right here and enter. And this is our event. And actually, I got to realize the function takes in parameters, so it'll tell you what parameters this takes in by itself, because this is a Roblox-like method, and we don't define like the parameters. We just define the arguments. So then automatically that'll be filled in for us. So every time a player is added, well, what is the parameter, or what is the argument here? It's a player. And if you don't know, like, okay, what goes in here? I don't know. You can always just hover over it and it should show you. If not, then you can look at the documentation and try to see. If nothing shows up, then probably nobody, or there's no like parameters, it's just empty. But this should be right here. It should tell you all the different parameters that actually go into this method. So yeah, that's the denotion right here. So every time in our player service, a player is added, you're going to connect that to this function. So basically, this function will run every time a player is added to the game. And then a simple use case, we can say print player which is nice. It's already checked out for us. Player dot name, and then we can say like has joined. And that's pretty simple. You can imagine when somebody joins the game. Let's look at our output. Well, it's gonna say in the output that hey, somebody has joined, and there you go. Solvin Sawyer 27 has joined. Very nice. And likewise, there are many different use. There's like the inverse of this function, or not the inverse, the opposite really. So we can say game.player.PlayerRemoving. So now when someone leaves, and it takes in the player, we can say print. And now I'm just gonna copy this down here, and we can say has left. And then now if I press play, it says I joined, and now if I stop the game, it's gonna say I left. There we go, I've left. And this is like pretty straightforward of how useful these two events are. There's a reason why I showed these ones, because these ones are so good. You can imagine on PlayerAdded, we're gonna load data, and in PlayerRemoving, we're gonna save data. You understand? That's why they're pretty freaking like good. One way I use PlayerAdded is that I check like if the player, like, oh yeah, by the way, the player has a bunch of these properties that are really nice. So I can say like if player and then like has VIP or something like that, you know. So like if the player has VIP, then I'm gonna send in a message to the chat that says a VIP or premium player joined. Like right here, it'll show up. And that's just a simple like way I use PlayerAdded. I usually use them for loading data and saving data. But you can imagine all the different things you can use when a player's added and when a player leaves. If a game is like a horror game, if PlayerRemoving and like you need like 4 players to actually play, then like when a player leaves, you can like update like the boss's HP to like lower or scale every time a player leaves or joins, you know? That way it's fair instead of having like 4 people and the boss like has health for like 7 people or something. And that's how like these are useful. That's just a simple way of using these. And now another one is touched. So I'm gonna move these down here. And touched events fire for parts. So let's actually make a part in the workspace. And let's bring that boy over here. And I'm gonna anchor this part. And let's just mess around with these properties. So make the part however you like. I'm gonna make it like this. This cool little part. Make it easy to see. I'm gonna get rid of the output. And then I'm gonna make it a nice, what's a nice color, guys? This cool yellow. It's like noobish color. I'm gonna make it neon. Okay, that's a little crazy. I'm gonna make it like, yeah, it's a nice little part. Let's make it reflect. And I'm gonna make it a little bit transparent. Actually, no, I'm not. And yeah, let's just name this part my part or something like that. Or we can say like event part, because it's specifically for the events video. And oh look, I have my part over there as well. Let me bring that over here actually, so I can show the difference. And now we have this boy, and let's do it. So if you want to see a better example, you can always make 2 parts to show what's actually about to happen. And yeah, now we have my part. And now let's reference it. So let's say local event part is equal to workspace dot event part. There we go. And now for every part, parts have this event on them that's called event part, and it's called touched. Sorry, it's not called event part. It's called touched. There's touched, and then there's touch ended. So touch fires whenever you a part, any part, like it doesn't have to be a player. It's a part that touches the part, and then touch ended is when the part stops touching the part. So when this literally ends. So these are pretty straightforward when you see these events. Like if you look at these and then just read what the description is, see some documentation, and then like just enter them and connect them to some function, and it gives you the parameters, you can basically get a good idea of every single part and what they do. Which is why in the beginning of the video I said you should be able to understand parts like touched or events in general when you see them, just by like knowing these ones, because you get the general rule of the syntax of the part, so or the events. So you get to be like, okay, yeah, I know how these works, these events. I know how signals work in Roblox Studio. So now we're gonna connect this to a function, and a parameter it takes is an other part. This is just the name it gives us, a suggestion name. But what it really is it's just a base part. This is the type. And what that means is that this is just the part that touched it. So usually it's noted by hit. And hit is just going to be a part, this argument. So if you're confused, this is literally just the part that touched it. that fire this event. That's it. So now we can say if hit, which hit isn't a base part. See, it automatically type checked for us. Then we can say print hit or something like that. Well, we don't have to say if hit. We'll actually say that in a second, but we'll say like print hit dot name. There we go. And then this is gonna fire a lot, and I'm gonna actually show you right now what I mean by firing a lot. So before we actually fire this though, my character, everybody's character, is comprised of. Oh, I think this is already being fired, huh? No, okay. Every time it moves, it'll fire. My character in this workspace, we can check it out, is comprised of all these parts. And one of these parts, if I touch the actual part, is going to fire off the event. So it's not like me as a character is the model, it's the part inside of me. So now if I touch this event or touch this part, you can see all of the parts that are touching it are being fired. And I'm just printing out all the parts that are firing this event. You see that? And then when we come here, I didn't make the function for this part, so nothing's going to happen for that part. But you see that? Every time you move, or just any part inside of me, all the different meshes, my hair, like whatever's on like a sword on the back, if it touches it, it'll be printed out. And you can imagine, okay, but how is touch really useful? We touch a part, so what? Well, claim parts. If you touch a part, you get a reward. If you touch a part, then that's like a button. Like, in a death run game, you touch the part and then the button activates. Or like even in the obby game, you have to touch this part in order to get a checkpoint, or touch this part to grief a player. So every time that you touch the part, basically like a platform is going to like disappear, and then that's how you troll players or something. That's are different ways for touching parts or using touched in the touch parts. But here's another way we can actually use it. We can actually say if hit, then we can say local character, and we can actually get the character from each part that touches it is equal to hit. And now you don't know what this method is. I just know we're gonna say parent. Yeah. Never mind. And then now we can actually print out character dot name. So let's just see this in real time. Oh shit, wrong part. Solvent Sawyer. Nice. And the reason why it prints out these accessories is because there's probably like children inside of models, inside of me, like my meshes, like my custom stuff. But for the most part, you'll see this right here. Hit.parent. And basically because most of the time, my arm's parent is going to be my character model. So that's why we usually use hit.parent. Now, there is another method that's better called find first child of ancestor, which is a model. Find first ancestor, which just finds the first parent, which is a model. And you might be like, what the hell is this? This is for the next video. So be tuned. But we can say just dot parent. And that's really about it for touched. And now we can also use this more practical. Oh yeah. We can also say event part dot touch ended. But you'll get a general idea. You probably already know what that does at this point. So let's move this up here. And then here's another thing we can do before we wrap up the video. We can say local function. And then I can say on player added. And then this is going to take in the player argument. And then I can move this up here. And basically what I'm about to do right now is I'm about to connect, since how this connects to functions, right? It wouldn't be ridiculous to say that we can connect this to a function that we made rather than saying a function down here. Which we made this, of course, but if we make a function above this event, and then we can actually call it inside of here instead of saying new function and then do all the stuff in here. And I'll show you what I mean. Look at this. Connect it to on player added. And that's it. So now whatever happens in on player added, this function will run. And you might be like, how does this work? How is the argument for the parameter going to like take in? Well, you could always do this and like say the player. Wait, no, that's a whole different thing. Never mind. No. When you connect it to this function, this player argument is already going to be subbed in by whatever this takes. So if I put an argument after this or parameter like hello, nothing is going to happen. Hello is going to be nothing because this player added event doesn't have a second argument or a second parameter, I should say. So when we call this function, we're automatically going to assume when we make it that the argument is whatever this argument is or this parameter is when we connect the function. So if this took like 3 different arguments right here, we can just put them up here as well and then say like, okay, these are my other parameters, right? But since this only takes 1, we can just call in the player parameter and it'll automatically fill it in for us. So don't worry. And then right here, we'll just see it right here. And you'll see Solvent Story 27 has joined. Very nice. And it still works using functions. And yeah, that's just a really nice way to simplify and just organize your code. If you don't want to write a whole big function thing, you can just connect it to one function that you made. And then let's get out of here. And I want to show you guys, before I wrap up, a practical use case in my games. So right here, this is a game I have. This is my data system script. So ignore everything else. Look at this. Every time a player is added, I connect it to load data. And every time a player is removed, I connect it to save data. So let's look at my load data function. Oh, sorry. I actually typed it out what I was saying. Every time a player is added, I'm looking to load all of this data. And you might be like, wow, this is a lot. It's not that much. And every time a player is added, this runs. And I just call it. And now, yes, I could just put it inside of here. Like, I could just say function and then write all of that down here. That's perfectly fine. But I just had the load data function as it's organized and cleaner. And the same thing with save data. So we have save data. And let's go to our save data function right here. So every time a player is removed, we're looking for that data and we're going to save it, which is pretty nice. And we'll go over all of this in a different video. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.